What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over some trades that we took on Friday, as well as the game plan going into this week, what I'm looking for SPY, and some setups I like on some individual names. So on Friday, this is what we opened up like. Going into today, market was bullish. Why? Because this 10 SMA here is above the 50 on the 675 calls, or the 670 calls it was. This is going to be the new contract most likely if the market doesn't gap down too much. It's either going to be the 670s or the 675s, and we just really have to see how we're going to open up. And going into the day, the market was bullish because this chart was crossed, and it's been crossed pretty much the last week since Wednesday. You can see we got that initial 30-minute cross, and this is where we knew the market was bullish, and that was our focus. And you can see what happened. We got a nice rip. Dip gets bought in the trend, and we trended higher. And on Friday, we ended up seeing a bit of a pullback in the afternoon, and there was a trade opportunity to take when it came to SPY on Friday. I wasn't on the charts at the time, but if you guys were on the charts, there was an opportunity to go long. So if we pull up the 0DT chart, going into the day, we know we're bullish, so we're only focused on the long side. So right off of open 9:30, we ended up actually closing right above this 10 SMA and 50 SMA. Personally, wouldn't be trading the first 25-30 minutes, so that's not really a trade I would take. I'm not really gonna take a trade right off of open. I'd wait for the first 30 minutes of the day, and right at 10 o'clock you can see we end up closing below the 10, the 50. Again, I always stay away from the open because it is pretty volatile, and stuff like this will happen where we get a pump and then we just dump in, lose the 10, the 50, and then right here, this is where the trade opportunity would have came into play. So as soon as we got back above honestly, the 50 SMA, you could have taken a long at stop loss. Your risk is super tight on this. If it came back below and closed below the 50, then you would stopped out, or you wait for the 10 SMA reclaim. So 10 SMA reclaim right here, we reclaimed at 1025, or the closure of 1025, so 1030. These contracts were at 103. They peaked all the way up at 171. Nice 70% there in the premium, and you probably would have caught 50 points on NQ if you longed right there. That's the trade. That's all you needed right there. And we got another good reclaim right here. We came down to the 50. Honestly, you could buy the 50 dip right there. We know we're trending bullish. You could buy these dips to the 50, and if you bought the dip, stop loss is closure below the 50 SMA, and look what happened. You get a very, very nice move out of it, and you could have probably caught another 50 to 80 points there in NQ. And right here, obviously the 50 didn't hold. I don't even know what time it is. What is this, 1 o'clock, I believe? But by then, I wouldn't be buying this dip again after taking this trade and this trade, and right here, I wouldn't be buying that. I'd be done for the day at that point. But yeah, I didn't take anything when it came to SPY on Friday. I was busy in the morning, so I wasn't on the charts until right around probably 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I wasn't taking anything on SPY. The trades already came. This 10 SMA reclaim, the 50 dip right there, that's plenty to call today right there. So yeah, that's what you would have done on a Friday. It's pretty simple. We did end up getting a put cross on the 0DTs, but I wouldn't be taking that trade just because of where we were on the 30-minute chart. So what is that, 145? So we pulled up the 30-minute chart, and yeah, 145, we were right at that 50 SMA area. So when that happens, when we're right around that 50 SMA, 50's trending up hard, and the puts are crossing, that's not a trade you want to take. Just not how I would be trading the crosses, because we're sitting at that major support. Yeah, it can still break, but this is not a high quality setup, not a trade I'd be taking. And if you did, you got to make sure you know where we're at here on the 30-minute chart, and that's not a trade I'd be taking. So that's kind of how the process goes when it comes to taking the 0DT crosses. You got to know where we're at on the 30-minute chart to be able to trade the 0DT chart. So like we said, market was bullish going into Friday, and we were sitting right up in here, right off of open 9:30. The 10 SMA reclaim ended up happening in this area. Same thing with the 50 dip, and you can see what happened. We got to move higher, and then even though the market dumped, there was no position to take to go short, and your two winning trades for the day, if you did take both, or if you just waited for one setup, you would have been paid already by the time this drop happened, and you'd be green on the day, move on to the next. You don't have to take every single trade the system gives. Like that 50 dip at 1 o'clock, I wouldn't be taking that because we already got the reclaim and we already got another 50 dip. So really no point in taking that other trade. You're just throwing more risk on the table that you don't need to be. Just take your green trade, move on the next day, look for that really high quality setup, and just repeat that process. It's all about having good habits, repeating the same types of trades, high quality trades, and just being consistent. So that's what you did on Friday for SPY. Game plan for tomorrow when it comes to SPY. It's going to be interesting to see how we open, because Market 10 SMA still above the 50. We did lose this support here, so it's pretty much a matter of, are we going to reclaim this 50 and trend higher, or are we going to continue to break below and this 10 SMA crosses below the 50? And if that happens, the market's neutral and there's no trend in the market. And most likely, if that does happen, there probably will be some sort of opportunity on the put side. That's where I would be open to taking a put cross, because we know the bulls lost the trend if this goes negative, and usually when we go negative, we see an opposite move in the premium. So since this chart's going negative on the calls, we usually see a spike on the put side. So if we get that 0DT cross on puts, that's a really good trade to take. That's a high quality setup, and that's something I will be looking for going into tomorrow if we do drop. If, let's say, we don't drop and we just pump, then it's pretty simple. The trade we're looking for is a 0DT cross on calls. We have a trade for either direction. The market could pump or dump, and we still have a really good trade to take, and that's the great thing about the system. It doesn't matter where we go. We're still going to be able to catch a trade, and that's why I love the system so much, because it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It works on both sides of the market. Every day, I have a game plan, and we have a trade pretty much for both sides, and that's why it's so good and so effective, and it's easy to understand. So when we look at these higher time frames, we are sitting at the 1 hour 50, not too, what's the word I'm looking for? Significant, because it's sloped down. And 2 hour chart, there's no cross happening, and then I think there's no 4 hour 50 either. So other higher time frames aren't really saying much about SPY, but that's pretty much the game plan. Really easy and simple for tomorrow. When it comes to some individual stocks I like, I'm going to give you guys some good setups to look for, and obviously if we get these setups, I'll be alerting them in the premium Discord. If you have any questions about the system, just join the free chat and ask your questions away. But pretty much CRWV, I'm looking for this 30-minute chart to cross, and the reason why I like this chart so much is because of the October contracts. So if we look at the October contracts, these are the monthlies. So I always pull up the monthlies on everything that I'm watching just to give me the bigger picture. And you can see on CRWV, we're on the daily time frame, and you can see this chart is crossed and sitting at the 50 SMA. And the 50 SMA is pretty level. It's pointed down slightly, but that's why I'm looking for the 30-minute cross on the weeklies to get an entry point. So this higher time frame is pretty bullish, but I'm going to be waiting for that 30-minute chart to cross. And if we get this 30-minute chart to cross over here on CRWV, this is a really good long setup. And if it wants to dump, it could dump, and if it wants to pump, I'll take the 30-minute cross, and we'll have a good trade. So CRWV, just wait for this 30-minute chart to cross on the 140 calls, and that's what I'm going to be looking for an entry point. I'm not sure what the higher time frames look like. Nothing too crazy. 1 hour chart is going negative, which isn't a good look, or the 2 hour chart, and so is the 1 hour. So I mean, will that happen? Will we get the cross? I don't know. That's why we're waiting for the 30-minute chart to give us the confirmation, and that'll be that. Another good one, Palantir. It's kind of like the opposite of what CRWV is. If we look here on the 30-minute chart, puts are crossed on it. This is more of a bearish setup. So 30-minute chart is crossed on puts. We pull up the monthlies right here. Go to the daily. What's happening on the daily on the monthlies? 10 SMAs crossing below the 50. Negative cross on the daily time frame. That's a significant thing that's going on Palantir, and that's really bearish. So if we do get some sort of dip on the 30-minute here, I'm going to be looking for this 50 SMA down here to grab some short and grab some puts at. It's a good setup. Higher time frames align with this 30-minute chart on the weekly, so that's why I liked that. And then Intel. No, this isn't even on my watch list really, but I am in some Intel. I went over this last week. It's sitting at a major spot. I mean, if it gaps down, it's probably going to be a trade I'm going to cut for a loser. I think I'm down like 15-20% at the moment, so chart goes, if we lose that 50, most likely going to cut this and then just take the L on it. But that's pretty much what I'm looking at. Those are some setups. I have a lot of other setups I'm looking at, but that's just kind of some freebies for you guys to look for and watch. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. If you guys want to learn, join Discord down below. It's where all the trades are shared, and that's the place for you if you want to learn. I'm in the chat every day, all day, helping you guys out and posting setups I'm watching and what I'm looking for on SPY intraday if anything does change from the original game plan. So yeah, that's all I got. I'm out. Peace.